Y'all are live whenever.
All right, thank you. Welcome everyone who might be out there in TV land or whatever land we're in. My name is Terry Lomax. I'm the chair of the Maritime Advisory Board. This is the monthly November meeting. We have President Andy Fagley, a board member, Hope Stewart for Economic Development, Peter Trogdon, a board member, Rita Wildy, a board member, Mike Tomasini, a board member, Beth Mock, the Bellis, the harbor master, Madeline from the City of Annapolis TV, and Kimberly Consoli, our recording person. So with that, we will get started. The first thing on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the June meeting. I'm sorry, not the June meeting, from the October meeting, which I have circulated to everybody. So first of all, I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes.
So moved.
I so move.
All right, Ms. Wildy, is there any discussion? Is there a second? Mr. Trogdon seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? No opposed. So Kimberly, we have adopted the minutes from October 19th. So I'm gonna come back to the maritime zoning update because I do have one thing, but I thought I'll just run through the other items. I'm with respect to the county MIAB, I am endeavoring to figure out when they meet, and then I'll put together, as we discussed, sort of a rotating schedule for people to join them, one board member at a time, and just split, and then over the next 12 months. But I have to confess, I've been up to my ears and I didn't ascertain what their regular schedule is. Rick Frankie did a good job of covering that, so I need to check with him or check with the MAIB on that. Excuse me. Economic development. What do we have? Anything of note for economic development?
I can reach out to the Maritime Liaison at AADC if you'd like me to give you the days and times.
Oh, that would be great. Yeah, if you could just let me know what their regular meeting date would be.
Yeah.
And then and also an email address for the chair, and I'll let the chair know what we think about what we'll be planning to do.
Okay, yeah, I'll do that tomorrow. Besides that, I think, yeah, the most significant news, there's the Volt Disaster Recovery Program, which is being administered by AADC for the businesses impacted by the recent flooding downtown. So that is for grants of up to $50,000, and the application period is closing this week.
All right. And what's happened with, as long as we're on disaster relief, what's happening with the tornado relief on West Street?
Okay, so there was a grant that was funded through TD Bank. It was for $25,000, and that was recently awarded to 5 businesses that were impacted by the tornado.
Okay.
And that is also administered by AADC.
Okay. Duncan is not here on the comprehensive plan, and I haven't heard any more updated status on that. Hope, do you have any information on that? Or
I do not know.
okay. I suspect it's been a little busy with the change at the top, and we finally got all the 025 legislation behind us. So people are probably taking a deep breath at this point. And for those of you that didn't see it in the paper, Dr. Nash had left effective the early part of November, and the mayor has appointed Mike Malinoff to be the interim director of planning and zoning. Mike was with the city earlier, and then migrated, I think, if I remember correctly, to Newport, and then most recently, what was he, down in Colbert County or Howard? I think it was Colbert County. Has agreed to come on as on an interim basis, as at least what the paper says. So just that FYI. Debbie did not have anyone. I did have an email from her that she wasn't coming. She did not have an update, any update on the NDZ application. Beth, do you have anything more on that?
I do not.
I assume it's, I'm assuming it's just meandering through MDE, and eventually we'll get some more specific details out of MDE at some point. BERS update, anything there? Beth, I know Ashley's not on the line on the video, so are you aware of any update?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, so I have a few updates, yes. So we worked very hard to create a new policy regarding bookings at the bird stock. It's been approved by city management. We placed that form online. It's password protected because it's only for 501c3s at the moment. We still don't own the property.
Right.
So we're expecting to own the property in a month or so, but we don't own it yet. So we're still sort of walking a tightrope, if that makes sense.
So, well, the good news is at least there's probably not as much clamor for the use of the dock over the holidays, other than the Christmas lights parade time frame at this point, but I may be wrong.
So, so I think that so I had emailed David Jarrell about 3 days ago saying I would like to divulge the policy and to this group to your approval, but I did not get a response, so I wasn't able to move forward with that.
Have you provided us with the most update copy of the policy, or is it? I don't remember seeing anything since we looked at the.
Yeah, I can tell you briefly what
reservation
the
form.
policy looks like. What the policy looks like is generally it's for 501c3s until April 1st. So from now until April 1st, the 501c3s get first dibs on the dock. And they have to fill out a form that says, here's who we're going to serve, here's who's going to benefit. And then it's up to me to say, yes, this benefits a lot of people, so this is a good idea. And then they can book, they only have to pay electric. But if they don't cancel and they don't show up, then they have to pay full fees. So what we don't want to see is for folks to book this and monopolize it and then never show up, because that has happened in the past. And then after April 1st, I can book in anyone I like. I could put in a 80-foot super yacht. I could put in a commercial fishing boat. I could put in a parasailing group. And then the 501c3s can backfill, but they won't have first dibs. So I think it's a really nice way to make sure people are held accountable, because entirely free didn't work. When we did entirely free, folks took advantage of the city. They booked stuff, they never showed up. And they booked stuff and then they stayed longer. That's what the mayor doesn't want to see happen. He wants to see the space used. So it's 300 linear feet of premium waterfront space. And I think he wants to see that that space goes to groups that will benefit other people. So the new form, which I wish I could show you tonight, says like, who are we going to benefit? How many people are going to benefit? And it's up to me to approve that. So I think it's really good. I'm getting a little bit of pushback, honestly, from the group, but not from the higher ups, only from the boots on the ground. So I think it's going to go well.
Well, anytime there's change, there's going to be pushback anyway, but I think it's, frankly, personally, I think it's important that the dock, number one, be fully utilized, number two, not be monopolized, because it creates a much more vibrant atmosphere down on the dock for both people on the dock as well as in, in the harbor, to have a variety of vessels coming and going as on a regular basis, rather than either a slip sitting empty or the same boat sitting there for weeks at a time, or even, a week or so at a time.
Yeah,
This is-
so it basically says that these vessels can't come from more than 4 times in the calendar year and not for more than 1 week at a time.
Okay,
And we may need to tweak that, but my inclination is to say, let's try it for a year, because I don't want a boat to come for a month, because in my experience, they serve the public for 1 week or 2 weeks. They don't serve the public for an entire month.
right.
And it's not interesting for someone to come for an entire month. It becomes uninteresting and people are like, it's not exciting. So I'm saying 1 week, 4 times a year for each boat. So we'll see how it goes. That's how we've started it.
And I assume that the 4 times a year cannot be back to back to back to back either.
No, it's only 1 week at a time.
So, all right, well, when the policy is available to distribute in writing, if you would send me a copy or send the board a copy, I'd appreciate it.
Okay, it's gonna be sooner than later because it's already approved by city management. It's already on my website.
Okay, oh, it's already on your website?
Yeah, so it's password protected because I don't want the public to get on there. I'm
Well,
just waiting.
Can you just either send, just send the document in some fashion? I don't need to get on the website or have a password, but, it'd just be good to know what it is.
I will.
All right, and while you have the floor, our usual update of the street end parks, 3rd Street, et cetera.
So DNR has extended to us something new. They have said that we can apply for a grant for every single street end, which we've never had that offer before. So in the upcoming years, we're going to apply for a different grant for every. So we've always done the shotgun approach. We've always had 250,000 for four different street ends. And then if one didn't work out, or if we only did architecture and engineering for 1 or 2, that was fine. And then we keep applying for the same ones. So they kind of said, why don't you do a different grant for every single street end, which is a lot more money. And that's what we're going to do moving forward. So we have Mike Rosberg, which is a newer city engineer. And we've already set 2 appointments in January. And we're going to apply for a single grant for 4 different street ends. So we're still focusing on 6th Street, Amos Garrett, Conduit, and 3rd Street. Not necessarily in that order, starting with Thompson, moving to Amos Garrett. And then I'm not sure what the next 2 go in what order. But yeah, so none of it's going to happen very fast, unfortunately. We're looking at 3 years out because we're still working on 3rd Street, Cheston, and it just doesn't move very quickly.
What's the status on Hucker Street?
So Tucker Street is quite different because it's not grant funded, and it's entirely up to the city management. So I'm just waiting for them to say what's happening next. But I will tell you this, the folks in West Annapolis lost their minds and said they were so unhappy. But between Blue Angels and now, we've had 0 complaints. None. So I think that we can move forward with a new ramp and a new floating dock. And I think that the city has allocated the money, but it's sort of in Public Works hands. So there's always sort of a distance between me and Public Works.
So the Ward 2, which is where Tucker Street ramp is, of course, is going to have a new council member now. And I don't know if you or anyone has reached out to that council member or they've reached out to you about their individual thoughts about the plan. But probably somebody ought to
Yeah.
fill that council member in sooner rather than later as to what's in the works, since that's a kind of a hot button topic in that ward. Or can be.
Yeah, it's really, since it's quieter, a bit quieter now, I'll certainly try to reach out now.
All right, anybody else have any questions for Beth while she has the floor? All right. So let me go back to the maritime zoning update. As we discussed at the last meeting, and as there was discussion at City Council on the last session of this 4-year term, when the 025-21 with, I think it was 11 or 13 amendments was passed. And I have to say, I'll digress a minute. I'm waiting on the Office of Law to assemble all of that, those amendments and 025-21 into a comprehensive statute or bill so that we can actually look at it and see what we did. We think we know what we did, and the council thinks they know what they did, but until you put it all together with the amendments to make sure there's not inconsistencies and those things in the details, we won't exactly know. But there was a commitment to by council as well as Eileen and myself to the council that we would promptly look at the properties that were not included by virtue of not having availability triggers or for other reasons, including that would be the old Weems and Plath building. It would include the old UK sales building on Severn Avenue, a couple other buildings on Severn Avenue. There's a couple of buildings on the Eastport side. As to what incentives or other things that can be done to provide some relief to those properties. And I spoke with Eileen, and I think the plan is subject to this board's the membership input, is that I would reach out to those property owners and invite a meeting or some forum, whether it be Zoom or whether it be in person, along with either Eileen or somebody from the coordinating with the task force, to just have an open discussion of ideas of what we can do, what could be done, that by way of incentives that fall into the category of both meeting some of the needs of those properties, but also under the other task force goals, which is public access and the supporting the maritime industry workforce. So I'll just go around the room. If anybody has any contrary ideas on how to approach that, I'm welcome to them. That just is what had come out of the meeting or the city council, because Alderwoman Finlayson in particular was very interested in revisiting those properties. And we're talking about probably in the early 2022 timeframe. Council does not get seated until middle. I think it's actually the council meeting is late in December, so it's like the 15th or something, or the 4th, maybe the 15th, because of the where Monday the 1st falls. So it would probably be, certainly not during the holidays. But Andy, I'll start with you. Any different thoughts on how we reach out or how we approach those properties?
I guess I'd like to know what their occupancy rate is right now, before you're jumping through hoops specifically for them. I know, at least with Scott Allen's property, it was not fully occupied for a long time, but I think it is now. So I'm just standing by, really.
Okay. Peter, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's great to get together, talk about this situation. My personal experience was that we had about 20% vacancy for very unusual 2 or 3 years. We're fully occupied now, but we had of 20, 25 years, we'd never had any vacancy, and then we had like 20% for a couple of years, 2.5 years or something of no possible way to fill that spot. So no, it's good. I think getting together, maybe we can come up with some ideas.
Frida?
Nothing to add, thank you.
Okay, Mike?
I'm good. I think it's smart to revisit and to have as much information as we can to make a decision. I'm looking forward to the second crack.
I don't want to get into another 95 member task force, but there is a commitment to move forward some. Scott, welcome to the meeting. You got here just in time to hear us discuss where we're going to meet in December and then sign off.
Okay, good. I've been watching on YouTube because I never got the link. Thanks, Mike, for sending it to me.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I sent a reminder, and I'm going to try to remember to do that, to send out a reminder that to everybody by way of an email, the day of, and say, hey, if you didn't get a link, either reach out to me or reach out to Mark or somebody.
Yeah, I sent it back to you too late, so no problem, but I
okay.
watched most of it, but now I'm on, thanks to Mike.
Okay.
I agree with Peter. It's probably good to keep our hands and eyes on the situation, but I agree with you, not to get into a whole nother too long, 2-year project.
Right. All right. I will coordinate with Eileen on that and try to initiate something, put a list together and then initiate it. Last but not least, the December meeting location. Kimberly, for your benefit and also Madeline, yours, our tradition has been to have an in-person meeting somewhere off city property since it is the holidays. And we will probably continue that tradition. I will just circulate early on where that may be. It may be at one of the yacht clubs, or it may be at Port Annapolis. Duncan has always been gracious in that, and the meeting is, of course, it will be on the agenda, the location. But I usually bring some snacks and some libation, and it turns out to be a short meeting. We can probably set it up, Kimberly. I know it's off-site, so Madeline, we wouldn't be doing it over COA TV, but if we did it in person, Kimberly, I could probably set up a Zoom call if you didn't feel like coming and taking notes. It usually not a lot to take notes about, but we can talk about that. I can bring a laptop and just set it up on a Zoom meeting, and you can listen in and to at your leisure.
All right, whatever works for you, sir.
Okay, I need to talk to Duncan and just confirm where we're going to be. As I had mentioned to Andy earlier, I expected this to be a short meeting, and it is. So I'm going to ask for a motion to adjourn, unless somebody has something else. Mr. Fagley has moved to adjourn. Mr. Thomasini has seconded. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Everybody have